Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Film Nobodies podcast. I apologize for the delay on episodes. The holidays kind of got in the way. But we are back.
Blame Christmas.
Yeah.
Wow.
I have to blame Christmas. I have to blame New Year's, and
blame me.
And him. Yep. We actually tried doing some episodes over the internets, but it just didn't work out the way we wanted it to. And
Someone is technologically challenged.
Well, we prioritize here at Film Nobodies quality over quantity. So we wanted to make sure we give you guys the best episodes possible. Okay, that's my excuse. And so we are finally back after the holidays. Hope you guys had a good holiday break.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year 2026. This year we're going to have plenty of episodes coming out for you guys. And we're going to start today with something that's very relevant right now, Stranger Things. How this is going to work, since it's pretty long series, usually we just do movies on these discussions, is we're going to break it up into two parts. This first episode is going to be about seasons 1 through 4. We're going to, briefly discuss each season, what we thought about it, the characters, and then we will have a part 2 to this episode where we will talk about season 5 in its entirety and what we thought about that. So, without further ado, we'll kick it off with what we think about the overall vibe of the show, which I think we both think is one of the best parts.
Yeah, hands down.
I
think that's like one of the things that drew people in, especially my generation. Kids that were born in and around the 80s. Yeah. They hit the nail on the head with the period part of it, right? And I think that was obviously on purpose to draw people like me and my generation and stuff, and our kids, to take the kids along for a ride. But they really immersed you really well in it. Like everything from the costumes to the set designs, the characters, how they talked, what they used, all these things, and what they were like. There's like a lot of little Easter eggs in there in 80s pop culture, which is really cool. And I don't know, there's like it sets a tone where you just get sucked in, and you just feel like you're a part of the movie or the show for a little bit. And I think they did an excellent job, really making you believe that was filmed in the 80s. And if it weren't for 4K and CGI and stuff, you might believe that was an 80s show. It was so well written for that and built for that period.
I agree. Yeah, I think they really hit the hammer on the head with how the show looks and stuff. It makes me nostalgic, and I didn't even grow up in the 80s, So they did a really good job with that for sure. And this was like the first show that like our family got together to watch together, besides The Walking Dead. So I think it's a very personal show for me. The atmosphere, the immersion is probably one of the best parts. And I appreciate how they can kind of like bring you into this world with a lot of like supernatural elements and stuff like that. That could easily just be like, okay, this is kind of just crazy, but it feels real because it's so well executed. I mean, the money helps, I guess, but they had a ton of money, especially in later seasons.
Gazillion dollar.
But I mean, they put that money to use. They really knew how to spend it, and you could see it on the screen. Even in season 1, I'm not sure what the budget was. I'm sure it was still a lot, but you could see every penny. See every penny.
Yeah, so. They did it. They spent it well. Not just on like the actors and things like that, but just on the details of the sets themselves and the costume and that kind of thing. So I'm not sure if it's won any awards like that, but
maybe
I'd be surprised if it hadn't.
Yeah.
Kudos to them. But I think just the whole overall vibe or aesthetic of the movie is really cool. It just makes you feel nostalgic, but also kind of sucks you into what's going on because they do such a good job of immersing you.
Yes, I agree.
So anyway, I think that most people would agree with that.
I think so too. I think a lot of people agree that's one of the strongest points of the show.
Yeah.
Now what we would like to do is go into each season individually, just kind of brief overview, brief, likes and dislikes type of thing.
Everything we talk, there's spoilers alert. So
yeah, spoiler alert for both of these episodes.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of you, if you clicked on this video, I'm sure a lot of you have already seen the show. But nonetheless, spoiler warning.
Yeah.
Season 1, I think, is objectively the best season. I think most people would agree that season 1 is the best. Just because, in my opinion, I think it's the mystery of it all. Like the way it introduces everything, it's so like small scale. So it's super like you can really connect with the characters. It's all very relatable. And so like of course there's the Demogorgon and stuff like that, which is crazy. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like a mystery. Like what the hell is going on in this small town? This kid gets kidnapped by supernatural forces, and this small-time sheriff and his mother and the kid's friends go on this whole adventure to find him. Where the hell did he go? How did he disappear without a trace? And the way they progress through that season and tell the story of like what's going on with Will, where he is I think so well executed. Every episode is important, and it all leads to a pretty satisfying and crazy conclusion. Especially in terms of like
it sets up season 2.
It sets up season 2 really well.
Yeah, really well, yeah.
And especially with like Elle, introducing her, it's like so mysterious. Like what's going on with this kid? She could just like, use telekinesis and telepathy and stuff, and you don't know why. And I think they do a really good job of approaching every mystery of that season.
Yeah, I think they do, and the way they introduce the characters, and how they kind of slowly reveal the mystery behind Elle.
Yeah.
It still isn't fully complete, not even until like season 3.
No.
Do you really understand the origins of Elle? And then there's even more behind that when you get into season 4 and 5. But the way they kind of rolled that out, I thought was pretty clever, and the writing behind it was solid. So I think that in season 1, the story and the plot is what grounds you in everything. Like it's very well, it's methodically kind of on display for you, and it leads, like you said, like logically to this end that is a great capstone for the season and sets up season 2 really well.
Yes.
And it does a lot in season 1, and I always find it impressive whenever a movie or a show can make you sit on the edge of your seat with action, cry because it's sad or it's very dramatic, and laugh, and all these things all at the same time or throughout. I think that's really impressive, right? To me, that is really good writing. So you get immersed in the story because, like you said, it's kind of unique. It's loosely based on kind of D&D and stuff. So I think it steals a lot from that kind of I don't know, not really a story, but
yes, I know what you're saying.
It steals a little bit from D&D, but it weaves this really unique story. That's
something that I don't think has ever been told before.
Yeah,
it has elements from different things, but like for something so modern, it's impressive that they came up with a story so unique. When it's not based off of anything, it's just like its own thing. So,
I think it's what makes a good movie or a show stand out. Is unique. That the story is different. It's unique, or it's a totally different take on an existing formula. But this was something totally different. It took this new aesthetic. It took this new writing and this new story with these new actors, right? And it weaved this whole awesome thing that people could not wait to get more of. Yeah. And then when you had to wait like 10 years between seasons, which drove everyone
Yeah,
crazy.
I know. Especially in the later seasons. Oh my god!
Yeah.
I think the second season came out relatively soon after that.
Yeah,
It was like
season
1
2
or 2
wasn't too
years.
bad.
But then like season 3, it was like
It was like 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
And then season 4 was 3 years, and then
Yeah.
season 5, oh my god,
Yeah.
another 3 years, 3.5.
Yep.
It's like Jesus Christ.
So they did
You
it.
know?
They I don't know if they did that on purpose or what, but it was annoying.
It was annoying. I know season 5 is because of the writer's strike.
Yeah.
That's why it took so long. But still, it's like, oh my
Yeah.
god.
So what in season 1? What do you? I mean, there's a lot to like. So besides that, what is it that you thought was kind of failing in season 1?
I think the only thing I can really think of compared to all the other seasons is the CGI, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like how everything looks. Like obviously is the lowest budget of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks great, but it's, not even close to like season 4 or 5 in terms of how it looks, because the budget isn't there yet.
Yeah.
So I definitely think season 4 is probably the most immersive season, just because they have the budget for it.
Mm-hmm.
But season 1 didn't have that advantage, so I think that's probably where it lacks, if
Mm-hmm.
anything. It's such a small thing because it still looks great, but yeah, that's probably the only thing that I can really say that's bad about season 1. Maybe.
What about the performances in season 1?
I think the performances are great. Honestly, I think the kids do really well. Hopper, Joyce, I think their acting is on point. Maybe, I don't know. I'd say that maybe the pacing is a little slower than some of the other seasons. It definitely,
It's definitely slower.
It definitely takes its time to get to the point, but I don't really think that's a bad thing, especially when it involves so much mystery. You're
not for a
intrigued.
season 1.
Yeah,
Because there's a lot of character building, there's a lot of
Yeah.
scene setting that you got to do. So in later seasons, you can't. We know the characters.
Yeah,
you
just
can
like
move
it's
a little
point.
bit faster at that point. Right?
So it's
But-
fine that this season is
Yeah.
slower. There are some characters I don't really care about in season 1 that they quickly kind of get rid of. By plot or some other choice, like Barbara. I don't really care about Barbara that much. She
Well,
dies.
I don't know. Barbara was important.
She was important. I just don't really I care much more about Will and them finding Will than them finding Barbara.
But if you think about it, Barbara is the motivating factor that brings Nancy into the fold.
That's very true. I think she is very important.
And she's an important character throughout the entire series. So
Yeah.
without Barbara, there's no Nancy in the plot.
Yeah, it's just the fact that she's simply a foil for Nancy.
That's true. Yeah.
She as a character herself, she's kind of a nothing character. It's horrible.
Poor Barbara. Poor
it's
Barbara.
it's really
What did
not
she
that
do to
much.
you?
It's not
now
that
she's
much.
an NPC.
Okay. It's not that much of a flaw because she's literally only in 2 episodes. So it's obviously she's going to be a nothing character, but for somebody so important to Nancy, maybe I don't know how you would even
Give her
change
more
that.
background.
Yeah,
depth.
give her more of a reason for us to be like, oh no, she's gone.
Yeah.
Something to
if she saved her life or something when she was a toddler,
or
some crap.
or give us some background on her family or something that because you feel bad for her because she gets left out by the group and stuff by Steve and the gang, but other than that, she's pretty shallow character. Granted, like I said, 2 episodes, but still, like I said, these are all minor flaws. I'm trying to nitpick here so I can give anything bad about the season, but I got to be honest, this season's probably one of the best in television. If I'm being honest, I think a lot of people would agree, because there's very minor flaws. There's a reason why it got the budget it did and became so popular, is because that season is so strong on its own. I think if the show ended there, if it was just one season, it'd been fine. It would have been great. I'm glad.
That's true. That is actually true. I didn't think about that. Season 1 you don't even need a season 2
very
if you wanted to
self-contained.
end it the way it was.
Yeah.
You could.
So it's
That's a good point.
it's
Yeah.
great. It does what a lot of other shows struggle with, and it's that first season. Even a top tier show like Breaking Bad, I'd take season 1 of Stranger Things over season 1 of Breaking Bad. And maybe what's another one? Walking Dead. I love that show. Season 1 is like pretty good. Nothing crazy because it's like they're just getting started. For a show like Stranger Things to have such a strong beginning to the series is impressive and rare.
It is, yeah.
I think.
I think you can connect with the plot and the characters in this way that you can't with other shows sometimes, because I think that it's a fun but dramatic but scary. It's got a little bit of everything,
It does.
And that's what I love about it. And when you can do that and you can play on different emotions throughout the same series and the same season, that's pretty impressive. That's pretty cool. You can really connect with that because you're getting the whole, spectrum of emotions. Whereas like a Walking Dead, it's fear and drama. Like that's just a very heavy show. Maybe once in a while something cute and funny happens, but for the most part, it's pretty dramatic.
It combines all of it.
They do it really well. They do it in this way that's really just fun to watch and really well written. So going from season 1 into season 2, I think that with the way they opened up season 2, right, and giving us that glimpse of, oh no, Elle's still around.
She's still around.
Not coming out and telling us that right away. They kind of like,
and it's not just the Demogorgon that's in this weird place. It's not just that's like a small fry.
Yeah, she went to the Upside Down and she took the Demogorgon with her.
Yeah,
and that I thought that was pretty cool. And the whole obviously what Hopper in the woods with the that was pretty funny. But the way I think that the way they kind of rolled out season 2 was clunky.
It was my
biggest
clunky.
complaint about season 2.
Yeah, I think they just they were like, wow, this season 1 did really good. Okay, let's try to figure out how we can really.
Yeah.
I think they tried a little too hard.
Well, they were trying to give backstory to Elle, which we need to do that, right? We need to hear that. We need to know that. But the way they did it was very kind of disconnected. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
like the sister episode where she goes to New York is considered the worst episode of Stranger Things. Now I think some people say that one of the episodes, season 5, is the worst, but we'll get to that. I still think that is probably the worst episode, just because it's so disjointed. It's so disconnected from everything else, and and so
I think that too. That like with it left the audience kind of like, why did I just see that?
Yeah, it's like, I guess
I didn't need that. And then season 5, you realize you did, but for like 4 seasons, you're like, what the hell did I hear about?
And I think Elle's plotline in general that season is very it lacks a lot of substance. I mean,
agree.
It seems like it would be important, like on paper it's important because she goes to meet with her mom and she's trying to find out like what happened, like the origin of her being there, so it's like important on paper, but in execution it's just very boring. Like you just want to go back to see what's going on with Will because he's just getting cooked by the mind flayer.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, what's going on? Oh my God, it's another Elle scene.
Yeah. You lose an entire episode on that. And it wasn't a bad episode.
It's not bad
in and of itself.
It's just like
it just was like, why am I watching this? Like I don't care about this character. I remember that watching that episode, and I was like, that was stupid.
It's not a terrible episode. I don't think any episode in the show is terrible.
No.
I just think that it's very down here when all the other ones are up here. And I think besides that, the rest of the season is actually really well done. Like I kind of like, because I rewatched the show recently and I forgot a lot of season 2. I think season 2 can be a pretty forgettable season, unfortunately, despite Bob's death at the end. I don't know why, but I find it pretty forgettable. But when you rewatch it, it's very immersive. It's the same deal as the first season.
And unbeknownst to you, while you're watching season 2, there's so much key stuff happening in season 2 that's important to season 5.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and so like it's also high stakes because Will, it seems like it's more dangerous for him now because he's being controlled by the mind flayer.
Yeah.
And if they try and destroy the mind flayer, he'll die. So it's like and you see him in these certain scenes, like he's in the hospital room and he's like lying to them and he's like shaking and he's got these like black veins. It's like, hard to watch.
And when Mike realizes he's a spy and stuff,
Yeah,
you're like,
it's
I get it.
Shit, you know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So I think season 2 does a really good job of, you know, keeping that flow going with Will specifically, and then trying to finally get it out of him.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like so like it's been he's had to deal with this for so long now.
Yep.
So
and the whole time too, I think they're foreshadowing, you know, him being in the closet.
Yeah.
And that whole all that gets revealed in season 5 with this whole thing that he's holding this back because of fear, because the mind flayers got control of him. And I think that was a foreshadow to, you know, him coming out of the closet in season 5 and everything else.
It's actually a good perspective. Yeah. I didn't think about that.
And then what Bob was one of the probably I don't know, like one of the more lighter sides of season 2.
Yeah, he was
until
he dies.
When he dies, but I really like that character. It's a shame they wrote him off, but I appreciate kind of the way they memorialized him throughout the show, and he was a key character. I don't know that he had to die though.
Yeah, I think it was good, because I hate when shows are afraid to kill off their characters, and nobody had really died in the show yet. And when that happens, you've realized what the stakes are. Like, important people will die in this world. So I think it's important that Bob died. I mean, maybe it didn't have to specifically be Bob, but I think him dying at the end of season 2 highlighted his character throughout the rest of the season. You know, it makes you really appreciate him because he's so short-lived. You know, so it's like he's so awesome. Like, he's a really cool guy, and it's like, dang, you know, it sucks. You know, it sucks that he dies.
What if they had killed Hopper off instead?
I think that would have been a horrible take, because oh my god, he's so important throughout the whole show.
It's like when they killed Glenn in Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Like,
Spoiler alert.
I'm done with this show.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, I already said it.
Yeah. Sorry for whoever.
Or when they, spoiler alert for Pedro Pascal. I won't even say.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you know, you know. You know. But, I mean, I think Bob's character, or his death, it was important because you love him, and he just dies, and it's
a good,
wow.
It is, but it just, I don't know. It felt like a little bit of a chicken shit way to kill off a character, because you didn't really kill off a main character. You killed off what was becoming an important character, but he really wasn't. And he died in this way that he didn't really need to. Like, why did you stop at the door?
Yeah, that's fair. That was a pretty rough way to, like, I think it would have been better if he just died while in there. Like,
he barely got to the door, right? And then they got him before he got out. But he got out of the door, closed it, locked it, and then he's just like, that was close. What are you doing? Go.
Yeah, that's fair. So, but I think overall it's a good death.
Again, nitpicking, good season. I do think it had its problems in season 2.
Yeah.
But it was still it was a really important
Very
season.
important season, just somewhat forgettable, and the whole thing with Elle was a little weird. But I think one of the best parts of that season is when they have Will locked up in the shed, and they're like trying to like appeal to Will's side by reciting all these memories from his childhood, and it's like Will, like, remember when we did this, like Jonathan, Mike, and Joyce trying to like convince him, and you don't know if it's him or the mind flayer, and they hear the phone ring, and he snaps, and it's like, okay,
instantly they know.
He knows, like, damn it, he knows, and then the Demodogs pull up, and then obviously Elle's there, but it's like a very tense scene. I think that's probably my favorite scene of the season. It's like so scary, you know, in my opinion, because you just don't know. It's like, is he on their side? Or
and it's almost getting to this point of like torturing a kid.
Yeah, it's like you guys still got to be careful.
Yeah, they're like walking the edge from a what do you call it, movie making perspective, and getting in trouble. But it was good. I mean, the way they did it, that's
probably one of my favorite scenes of the whole show. You know, it gets overlooked a lot, and so if anybody has seen Stranger Things and they kind of just watch season 5 without really going back and watching the rest of the seasons, I would refresh your memory. I would highly recommend it because it really enlightens a lot of things that you see in season 5 and makes you appreciate a lot of the character arcs more now, like having all of that refreshed. So I would do that. Glad I did it.
It's definitely worth rewatching. I mean,
it's such a rewatchable show.
Yeah, we rewatched all 4 seasons before season 5 came out just to get refreshed and loved every minute of it. So
I'm not a big fan of rewatching stuff, but
very, very rare for me.
Yeah, and so Stranger Things is one of those shows that I could probably rewatch that again in like a couple of years.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So
let's move on to season 3. So season 3, it
switches it up.
It really does. They really switched it up. The thing I like about season 3 is I think it's when I was telling you this earlier, they hit their stride as a show. I think that this is when they really were starting to. You kind of knew the characters now, and the writing was starting to flow a little bit easier. I know a lot of people don't appreciate the story in season 3 as much. They feel like it might not be as deep or meaningful. I disagree, but either way, I think just as a character unit, as the team coming together, and the way that everything kind of operates, it feels seamless. It feels like they have good chemistry.
It's kind of a character season, It's not very plot driven as much as it is character driven.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
It is.
So
and it's important too in a few ways because it introduces the Russians.
Yes.
And they are important to, I think, how season 4 and season 5 develop.
Yeah, season 4 they're important because Hopper's trapped there.
Yeah,
and stuff.
And but they're not really relevant after that so much. Yeah. But they did because the Russians were involved. It necessitated all these other things that happened in season 4 and season 5. So and including and very importantly, the character development of like people like Hopper and stuff like that. So and Joyce too. So anyway, and Murray. Sorry.
Yes,
Murray. Murray is like one of the underappreciated characters. I love Murray.
I think he's a good character
because he's just such an ass, but he's also like
he's hilarious.
But he's a hero on like several different occasions.
Yeah,
he's the guy.
Season 5.
Yeah. So I mean, props to Murray. Overlooked, I think, as a character. But anyway, they introduce him in season 3. They don't introduce him because he was, I think he was in season 2 as like an annoying reporter that was bothering Hopper, and they went to go see Murray.
Yes,
but season 3 is where he really became important to what was going on.
I agree.
But so I think that's what I really like about season 3 is that things really come together. They start introducing a couple of new characters in the fold. You got the kids growing up. So you got Dusty with his girlfriend.
Yep.
Dusty Buns.
A little bit of a development.
Yeah, the whole never-ending story. So I mean, I think that season 3 is just a really fun.
It's
season.
The most fun season in my opinion. You could rewatch those episodes, and every single one of them is like, okay, something's going crazy right now.
Mm-hmm. Steve's no longer a douchebag.
Yeah, he's like a cool guy
now. Yeah, he's actually the unpopular one now.
He's
kind of the underdog.
He switched sides.
Yeah, so you kind of like there's like a transition for him in season 3.
I also think that's where the humor is at its peak as well. I think that's the funniest season as well.
Yes.
Especially with Dustin and Steve. Their dynamic is probably at its peak in this season.
Yes.
Sure. Their back and forths are like hilarious, and then when they,
which is probably why I liked it so much.
Yeah, I mean it's just fun. It's a very good word to explain this season, and not just the humor, but the action is really good too because you have Billy, who's flayed, and he's like superhuman, and they have Elle fighting him, and the rest of the kids are like trying to stop him, and then you have obviously the meat monster who attacks the mall, and honestly, when
Billy.
When the monster gets introduced in when they're in the cabin and they like see it coming in the distance, it's like holy shit. And then it goes to the cabin and like attacks from like all sides and from the top with its mouth and stuff. It's honestly, it's probably one of my favorite villains in the whole show because it just like
I don't know of another
so
villain like the Mind Flayer in season 3.
yeah. It's
You know,
so cool.
Like liquid body parts,
It's
and just so
disgusting.
gross.
It's disgusting.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
It's so well done.
Yeah. That's where I think
and unique. I don't know
Yeah.
of another villain like that.
I think that's where they hit their stride with the CGI as well. Like that's where you're like, wow, this show
Sure.
it's got
Yeah.
a budget. You
Yeah.
know, they really use it too.
But they
So-
introduced the Mind Flayer. They introduced Robin. They introduced
Well, the Mind Flayer was in season 2 as well, but this is like
Right.
the physical manifestation of the Mind
right.
Flayer.
But I mean, you know, you're really it's the same. You know, the same thing with like Murray, right? You're starting. These people are and these things are starting to take a bigger
Yes.
part of the story. But they do introduce net new characters like Robin,
Yeah.
who's more and more important throughout the series. And so
Yeah, Robin's really good in this season.
yeah, and Lucas's little sister again. She was there in the earlier seasons, but she's more important in season 3, obviously.
Yeah.
So
They really know who the main group is.
yeah. So I just think that it was a fun. It was a fun series or season, but it probably wasn't as like materially important as
Yeah.
season 2.
That's probably what I dislike about it the most is just the plot of it. You know, like it's not as important as the other seasons. You know, so it doesn't hit you as hard. There are a few exceptions, like the deaths. There are multiple deaths in this season, like Alexei, Billy, and then Hopper. They tease him dying, and it's like, wow, this is actually pretty important. It's just that the plot kind of like falls short, you know, and then it picks back up season 4. It's like, okay, now we're kind of back in terms of substance, you know. But I don't think it really matters that much in season 3 because they make up for it with the humor and the action and you know the character arcs that they develop in that season. They make up for it. But yeah, if I were to give a flaw to the season, it's the lack of plot. You know.
I don't know that I agree with that. I think it had good plot. I just don't think it was as important to the overarching plot, the overarching series, as the other seasons. But the story itself was interesting, and I love kind of the callbacks of like the Terminator with the Russian bad guy. You know, it was like they were totally copying the Terminator on purpose there.
Yeah, they did.
And that was really fun how they did that. So things like that in that show, in that season, I don't know. It just that's kind of like a little to me it's like the fun factor went straight up on season 3 and then it just coasted downward in season 4 and 5 because it got darker and darker. It's kind of like the Harry Potter series. They were fun and whimsical, and then oh no, kids start dying. And then you're all the way in the last episode or the last season or the last movie, and you're watching the literal like apocalypse happening. So
yeah, I mean, I honestly think that it's kind of like a like if it was a graph, I'd probably say that season 1 is like kind of the darkest, like one of the darkest seasons, and then it goes up. Season 2 is like slightly less dark, but like and then season 3 is like at its funnest, and then it goes right back down. It's like a mountain peak. I think that's a good way to explain it in terms of the vibe.
Did they introduce in season 3? Did they introduce I forget his name, but the teacher,
Mr. Clark?
Yeah,
that was season 1.
But he was like really important in season 3. So that.
What did he do in season 3?
Well, maybe he wasn't. No, okay.
He was.
So it was. I'm thinking of.
I think 2.
Yeah.
2, he was really important, and then 1, because he explained the Upside Down to them.
And then he makes a full reemergence in 5. So.
Yeah. I think he also does some stuff in 4 as well, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong, but wait, no, because he was in 3 because he explained the electromagnetic field.
Oh yeah.
He was
that's
in
what
3.
I'm thinking of. Yeah, so he's the reason Joyce was able to go figure that out. Yeah,
that's right. So.
And then Hopper was all jealous.
He's like, oh, you ditched me to go hang out with Mr. Clark. I see. I forgot he did that. So Mr. Clark, kind of an underrated goat. of Stranger Things.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
he helped the kids out a lot, and
Yeah.
and Joyce. So
He's in there with Murray.
yeah,
Okay, so going into season 4,
yeah,
right? Starts to get real. You got
Definitely.
you definitely have the introduction of new characters here. You got Eddie,
yep,
who comes in, and the Hellfire Club and all that stuff, which is really, really important to Dustin in season 5.
yes,
It's like the motivating factor for him. But you have like I think with season 4, it's that it's kind of that a calm, not calm before the storm, but you can feel the storm building.
yeah. The tensions rise.
The tensions are rising amongst the characters. The tensions are the stakes are higher
yeah,
in the plot and so forth. But you have some important events that happen. Elle gets her powers back.
yeah.
Papa is finally actually killed
Dead.
off.
Thank God.
I think by the way, on the whole sidebar with Papa and Paul Reiser, who comes in to play the other doctor. I forget his character
Yeah.
name, but he comes in to play the Papa's substitute. I really liked his character
Yeah,
in the earlier seasons, and then in season 4, he gets bamboozled by Papa, shocking.
Yeah.
And then you never hear from that
never
character
see
again,
him.
ever. It's like they never ever tell you what happened to him.
Yeah.
Which I thought was like that of the series. That's one whole.
he's kind of a
that they
throwaway
never-
character.
Yeah, but he wasn't really. He was kind of important.
Yeah, like they treated him like a throwaway character.
Yeah, they
you know?
did.
So it's like,
And I was like, wait, what happened to? I like him. What's
going on with
He was
him?
a good guy. He actually cared about Elle. He got her adoption papers. He made her
Yeah.
Hopper's daughter and everything. So it's like, what happened there? Anyway, so it's a little sidebar, but that's one thing that always bothered me about the series is they never went back and told us what the hell happened to Paul Reiser.
yeah, I think that did kind of suck. Like I wanted to see what went down because he was on their side. Like he could have helped them. But,
The last thing we saw of him was he was in the holding room screaming at the general
yeah,
because he thought they had just killed Elle.
yeah.
That was the last thing you see from him.
and I guess he's stuck with that. Like,
He's still in that room.
yeah, they left him there locked up. He just died of starvation
Yeah.
or something.
What was your favorite part of season 4?
I actually really love season 4 because they switch it up again. Like season 3 was like its own thing, and then 3 years later, you get Stranger Things again, kind of expecting that same vibe
True.
because it's been so long. And then they just first of all, the budget all the way up here. This is where they get their budget. You see Vecna for the first time, and you're like, holy shit, this is real.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, you get the introduction of Henry.
Yeah, you get the introduction
Yeah.
of Henry, who is pretty much the main villain, just besides the Mind Flayer
Yeah.
in the show. And
You start to get a taste of what is actually happening.
yes,
Like Henry is this bad guy who's in the Upside Down and he controls the Upside Down, question mark. And Papa's not really the bad guy. He's actually trying to fix a problem that he started. And,
Yeah.
so there's like all of these weird things that start to crystallize, and then in season 5 all's revealed. But season 4, I think, does a good job of teasing that.
yeah. I think my favorite part of season 4 is, I think it's the development of Vecna. I think that's probably my favorite part because it's the one, like the first personal true villain of the show. Like the first season, you have the Demogorgon.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, okay, cool. It's like an animal, basically. An animal sent it on Elle who wants to kill her, right? And the kids. And then season 2, the Demodogs and the Mind Flayer. Demodog's kind of like the Demogorgon. And then the Mind Flayer is kind of this like background entity. It's like, what's going on there? I don't know what this is. And then season 3, physical manifestation of the Mind Flayer, mindless animal again. And then season 4 is like, well, we have this intelligent, like, dark wizard, Vecna, and it's completely different from what the rest of the show offers. And that's where I think they kind of ramped it up with the villains and made the plot have more stakes because now they have someone intelligent going after them. No traps, no simple traps are going to stop Vecna from killing your whole crew. So they really have to like lock in and think and strategize to defeat him. And they definitely don't defeat him for a very long time. despite their efforts. And he caused a lot of death and carnage in the show. So I think the best part is him, because he raises the stakes to a different level. And I also think the whole season is just like super interesting. I think Elle's plotline is a little slower paced. It's like, okay, I get it. She's trying to get her powers back. But what's going on with Vecna right now? Type deal. But I think it's way better than it was in season 2, where she was trying to discover her origins. Because it's still interesting. Like, you see Papa again. Like, he's not dead. He's back, and he's trying to like take advantage of her again. And you're like, will she get her powers back or not?
Right.
So I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, I think her plotline's way better in season 4 than it is in season 2.
Yeah.
And I think overall this season is very well paced, and I'm glad that it kind of kept its what do you call it? Its
pace.
I guess it kept its pace instead of kind of just falling short, you know. Because they got the whole budget. They could have easily just thrown a bunch of CGI monsters at them and then that's it. But they really thought about this season a lot. And so I really appreciate the thought they put into it to make it different and to raise the stakes,
Did you see the connection with like the Mind Flayer in season 3 with Vecna in season 4? Or do you feel like those were disconnected?
I mean, like, I kind of get the fact that like Vecna is basically a puppet to the Mind Flayer. That's what they kind of insinuate. I feel like it could have been a little better fleshed out, because there is a huge disconnect between Vecna and the Mind Flayer. You don't really see the Mind Flayer, spoiler alert, until season 5 when they fight it at the end. Other than that, you don't ever see it. So it's kind of very disconnected. In season 4, you really just see Vecna as the villain, and you question whether or not he's like the real villain or if the Mind Flayer is. So there is a disconnect, but I don't think it's like terrible.
Okay.
I
think it's fair. Yeah, it's just like when you when you end season 4, you end it a little confused on whether Vecna's in charge or the Mind Flayer's in charge, or whether they're two separate things that are actually competing with each other.
Yeah,
and you don't really understand that until season 5 completely, because you're kind of left to wonder. So that always made me think like, well, how does that connect to what happened in season 3 with the Mind Flayer actually?
Yeah.
So in the Mind Flayer wanting to get Elle so bad, which was connected to season 2 and him.
Yeah.
And it's season 1 and season 2 where he was basically trying to get vengeance because she screwed up his plans. But anyway, I always thought that was like a little bit of a weird disconnect. But when you zoom out and you see all 5 seasons, I think it makes sense. But when you're going from one season to the next, you're kind of like, wait a minute.
Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah. So, but I think season 4 is obviously a really important season because season 4 and season 5 are really just one long story. But I think it was really well done. I think you're right. The budget hits and you get a lot of good graphics and a lot of good CGI and stuff. And Vecna's really cool.
The deaths are crazy, where he like breaks their bones.
That's disturbing.
Their eyes go into their sockets.
Another unique,
addition to the show.
Yeah, so
it's very brutal in season 4.
Season 4 is definitely their darkest season, I think.
That's valid.
Not because season 5 wasn't as dark as season 4.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, like there weren't kids being floated in the air and dismembered and stuff. It was horrible. It's terrible. Right?
It's pretty horrible.
So I mean, if you think about it, that's kind of edgy. I mean, you got like middle school kids being horribly murdered. That's
I think the season 4 also has the best death. Eddie, I think his death is the best out of any that we've seen in the show in its entirety. Like best is in well done.
Like the way he died, or the circumstances with why he died.
I guess just like with his character specifically, because like with I think Eddie's is the most emotional death. I think that's the best way to put it for me personally. Like Bob is probably like a second. Billy's is pretty emotional because he's like kind of morally like messed up and morally corrupt, because of his father and stuff. So there's a lot of stuff behind that. But with Eddie, I don't know what it is. I think it's just like his relationship with Dustin and how he was like, I didn't run this time, right? It's like so sad because everybody hates him. They think he's like a serial killer, and he's not. He's like a really cool guy, and then he goes and like saves. He tries to save everybody by like baiting the bats, and then so
it was kind of this non-hero hero moment.
Yeah,
where he didn't really have to do that.
He didn't have to do it.
Yeah.
But him dying was just so sad.
Yeah.
It just hits me right in the heart.
Yeah.
Because sorry, microphone. And it hits me in the heart because he just didn't need to die.
Yeah.
And Dustin he's like over his body like crying like no please. Yeah. And Eddie's like trying to be a hero, you know. And so it's like it's just so
he had his hero moment, but it was kind of unnecessary.
Yeah.
And I think that was kind of on purpose. Like he was kind of goaded into that because he was made to feel like he was a coward.
Yeah.
Especially with what happened to the girl, I forget her name, but the cheerleader that was buying
Chrissy.
Yeah, Chrissy, who's buying drugs from him, and he was like paralyzed when that happened, so he's always felt guilty about it. And then this was his moment to like reclaim his courage, and it's like it's great, but you didn't have to, right? So it's like sad on a couple of levels.
Yeah. And he had such an awesome scene beforehand, like him on the RV playing Master of Puppets. Yeah. It always sends chills down my spine because it's like, it's so
it's a cool
cold,
scene.
It's so fire.
Yeah, it's a cool scene.
So and then he dies right after that. It's like, wow, this sucks. And then Dustin goes to talk to his dad.
Yeah.
And the dad's like, go away, I don't want to talk. My Eddie was misunderstood, and Dustin was like, I know. Like
I think it was his uncle. I don't think it was his dad.
His uncle, whatever. And he's like, I know, like I was with him when he died, and then they're both crying. It's like,
that was good. That was well written, like character stuff, and then the whole that's like all the motivation for Dustin going into season 5 and so on. So I think season 4 is really important. I think it was really well written, and it teed up the Vecna character for season 5 really well.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like, okay, man, now I'm ready for the end of this series because they've really teed up this great match between the Titans, if you will, between Elle and Henry, and you have all these other obstacles in their way, like the military and everything else.
Yep.
That continue to hound them, and that it's just a whole combination of factors they have to overcome in order to beat a bad guy to be able to save the world. And they just kind of like bring you to the edge of that in season 4.
Yeah.
And then you got to wait 20 years for season 5 to come out to see the rest of it.
Yeah.
So
it took forever because of that writer's strike, man.
All right. So I think we ran through 1 through 4 pretty well. So stopping short of season 5.
Yes.
Just looking at seasons 1 through 4, who do you think is the strongest character arcs for those 4 seasons, and also who provides the best performances?
Right. Well, in terms of season 1 to 4, I'd probably say Hopper is my preferred choice for his arc. I think his arc is the strongest. He starts super strong in season 1. Like he is the main drive to solve the disappearance of Will, right? Like you have the kids helping and they really know what's going on because they have Elle. But as someone just by themselves and his motivations to just help Joyce and like find this kid, it's so it's I don't know, it's such a strong point for him, like he like it's such a good-natured motivation, and like he's got all these flaws and stuff, and then you realize like he is like a good guy underneath. He's just got
Yeah.
all these problems because of what's happened to him in the past. You know, so I really like him in season 1. Season 2 and 3, he could be a little weird. Like, he's like very aggressive in seasons 2 and 3. Like, he's trying to like control Elle and, you know, try and keep her away from Mike and stuff like that, which is like a little weird. But he's still a strong character. He still has like these good intentions. He's just a very flawed person.
Yeah.
And so you can come to kind of like respect his decisions, even though some of them are very flawed. And then season 4, he comes on top again. Like, he's stuck in, or at the end of season 3, he sacrifices himself, first of all, to save, or I think it was just to like, to save them all, like make sure the plan goes through. And
Well, he had in season 3.
yeah, at the
Well,
very
he
end of
had to because the Russians were rushing in.
Right.
And
so
she
he
had to
stop
turn the
them.
key.
Right, yeah. So he made sure the plan went through and sacrificed himself, pretty much. And so in season 4, he's in prison, and he is a badass in season 4. You know, like they have like these action hand-to-hand combat scenes where he's like beating the hell out of this guard in the wooden shed, and he's like, I don't know, he's just like an action star in season 4. You know, he's really cool. He cuts off the Demogorgon's head with a sword, you know, at the very end. And it's just so cool. Like, he's definitely changed as a character as well. Like, he gets like a lot more humbled in season 4. Like, he really understands what hell is, you know, and that's a Russian prison camp filled with
Demogorgons.
Demogorgons, yeah. And
hard to beat that.
Demodogs, yeah. So he gets humbled real fast, and he finally appreciates the relationship he has with Joyce. You know, he's no longer jealous of her going to Mr. Clark's house. You know, he genuinely like loves her and appreciates her. And I think it's a very important part for him as a character.
It kind of clarifies his goals and what he cares about. Yeah.
So I think Hopper, if he wasn't in the show would be much, much weaker. Especially in season 1 and season 4.
So do you think he was also the strongest performance?
I'd probably say he's one of, at least, you know, like total, like overall through seasons 1 through 4. I think Hopper probably has the strongest performance. I mean, like, some characters have it, you know, also have really good performances, but they're less consistent, you know? Like, I think, let's say, like Lucas, I think he gets a lot better. And then there are characters like Steve, who like has his moments, but sometimes in the show he kind of like plateaus, and it's like, okay, Steve is like awesome. You know, he's probably in my top 3 characters for the whole show, but Hopper just has a stronger consistency than any other
Who
characters.
would get the award for most improved from 1 to 4?
Most improved?
Yeah.
Oh,
Not from
man.
a character, but from a performance.
Like performance perspective. I mean, I'd have to give it, honestly, to Lucas.
Yeah, I'd agree with
I
that.
think Lucas has such a strong growth in his performance, you know. And I don't think anybody has a super horrible performance throughout the whole show, so it's kind of hard to say. But I think from start to finish, Lucas is probably the most impressive, especially at the end of season 4 when Max literally dies. And then comes back. He gives a really strong performance, and I think that also carries into season 5 as well. So,
What about Max? I mean, not Max. What about Mike?
Mike, I mean, I think he's kind of just like he kind of gives like a low consistency kind of thing. You know, his acting was never like anything crazy, but at least it was like kind of consistent throughout. You know, it doesn't go down or up. It just kind of stays the same. And he is supposed to be one of those characters. Like, he's kind of just supposed to be like a staple that stays there for the other characters to rely on and stuff like that. So I can appreciate Mike for that, but his performances were definitely not like.
Who is the weakest performer? Consistently.
Consistently, yeah. See, the thing is that I think I got to be honest. I think Will's acting gets worse throughout the seasons. I think as a kid, he's probably the best performance out of all of the kids in season 1 and 2. I love Noah Schnapp's performances in those earlier seasons. Because he's like, you can see how afraid he is.
He's balancing a lot of emotions.
He is, yeah. So, and then like season 4, he's good, but I don't know. It just doesn't hit as hard as when he was a kid, you know. But weakest performance, I mean, I don't know. Maybe like, I'd probably say maybe Jonathan. Not too big of a fan of his performances. They're like good, but it's nothing
I can see that.
I really care about.
Yeah.
You know, it's probably like Jonathan or Mike or something.
Yeah.
Something like that. What about you?
Weakest?
Weakest.
I think I would agree with that. Jonathan or Mike would be in the top, the bottom tier for performances. It's just they weren't as convincing
Yeah.
as the other characters. They just weren't. Dustin was always funny and was always very passionate in his performances, and it really carried through.
Dustin is also one of the best performances, like especially with consistency. He is he's probably more consistent than Hopper.
Yeah, he's very consistent,
you know,
in how he delivers his performance, and the character itself, I think, is really cool. So I think that Dustin, to me. So I think I agree with you. I think of the characters, probably one of the strongest and most important characters, other than Elle, because Elle's like crucial to the whole damn thing. But Hopper, definitely really important. I thought Joyce was okay, but she never, to me, I never got that really strong, persuasive, but for her, generally, I feel that way, like in her movies and stuff. I've never seen her as like this awe-inspiring actress. She's not bad, and I like her. I like her in her stuff and stuff, but she's never been that like super convincing character actor. So but I actually kind of like I don't know what you say, like you saw David Harbour for the first time in Stranger Things, and now I'm a fan. Like I look forward to when he has new movies coming out. When he was in the Marvel movie, I was like, oh, that's cool. I want to go see it now. Yeah, he's funny. He can do action. Violent Night was like this really fun movie he made. So he's, to me, I've become a fan because I've watched him in Stranger Things. So I think that's telling. Millie Bobby Brown, I think, has got a very bright career. Yeah, I think she's a strong actress. She was strong as a child, but I think she gets more attention than some of the other characters that you mentioned. Because I agree, I think Will is probably, of the children, Will probably had to do the most acting. In different scenarios and stuff between season 1 and season 2, because there was just so much going on in his little world that to carry all of that weight as a kid, that was pretty impressive.
It is impressive.
Yeah. The surrounding characters were less consistent. So like Lucas was but like I agree with you. I would give him an award for most improved by season 4.
Honestly, I don't even think his acting was that bad in season.
It wasn't bad.
I thought his was better than Mike's.
It was
in season 1.
But it was much better in season 4 than it was in season
much
1.
Better.
Mike's was pretty much the same.
Yeah, pretty much like middle of the road, and probably even a little bit less than middle of the road for like the whole season. But it's never been horrible. And I think that Joyce is like Will in that her best season is season 1. You know, in terms of performances.
Yes.
I think her best performance is season 1 because
she's so central to that.
Yes, she is. And I think the actors also kind of saw it as like this like small thing, like kind of a passion project, probably. You know, like I don't think they realized how big it was gonna get, like so iconic. So I think they really felt passionate about choosing Stranger Things. You know, well, I guess not Will. Will's just a kid, but Winona Ryder, she could do anything she wants. So I think the fact that she chose this Netflix show, she was like, I'm gonna like lock in. you
Yeah.
know, and give my all to
That's
this.
true.
Because
Yeah.
she really did.
Well, she was
really great.
from an actor's perspective. She was the kind of the anchor for the show.
She was.
You know, there,
Absolutely.
other than Modine, who played Papa, there was nobody really notable from an actor perspective. Most of them were unknowns. Even David Harbour. I mean, I didn't know him.
Yeah.
I
No, I
had
didn't
no
know
idea who he was until I started watching that show. Millie Bobby Brown was a little kid.
Yeah.
You know, all of them generally were.
kids.
I think Steve is a really strong character too, though.
Steve is
You know?
is probably my second favorite
Very
character in the
stable,
show.
very strong performance.
Yeah. Actually, I think now I'd probably say he's always been my number 2. I think Hopper's always been my favorite. But Steve, now I'd put him at 3. I think my second favorite now is Dustin. After season 5,
Yeah.
he's so strong.
Yeah.
And
I didn't like the way things started in season 5 with him. I thought they were overplaying that a little bit.
They were overplaying.
But we'll talk about that when we get to season 5.
Yeah, I do have a few
yeah.
things to say about that too. But I think overall his character arc is very consistent and well written. You know.
So, what about the villain characters?
Yeah, if we're gonna talk about villains now, I'd probably say the best villain, like I said before, is Vecna. I mean, how can you not say Vecna? You know, he's the only really intelligent villain in the show that really starts, you know, raising the stakes. So, I mean, I say Vecna, but what do you think?
So, here's the thing about Stranger Things, is they give you 2 different dimensions of villains.
Yeah.
Which I think is pretty cool. You've got the supervillain, who's either the Mind Flayer or it's Vecna, or the Demogorgons, and then you've got like people. You know,
Yes.
you've got the military, you've got the scientists.
Kind of get overlooked a little
Yeah,
bit, you know.
they're bad guys. They did bad things, and then Linda Hamilton in season 5, the entire curtain is open, and you reveal like the whole program is like this really horrible thing that they're doing. Those are villains too in their own right. So it's hard to nail down because like you can look at the Mind Flayer as almost like an animal.
Yes.
Like it's doing what you expect an animal to do. It's trying to dominate and survive or whatever. So in a way, you can say, okay, well, it's a bad guy. I need to defeat it, but is it morally corrupt? In the same way that like Papa was, where he was literally breeding kids for scientific experiments, and then Linda Hamilton takes it to the next level.
Yeah, the thing about Papa is that I don't really think he had. Okay, his intentions were definitely on the more evil side, you know, like trying to. Well, okay, his actions were more on the evil side, but his intentions were like kind of okay. You know, he's trying to solve this scientific problem, like you said, about, you know, the upside down and stuff. But the way he went about it was just like, whoa, you lost me.
I think Papa is the perfect example of a villain who doesn't realize he's a villain.
Yeah, he's a mad scientist.
He thinks he's doing like what's in Elle's best interests.
Yeah, he thinks he's doing the right thing.
And in reality, he's a terrible person.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a perfect example of someone who doesn't realize they're a psychopath.
He's taking advantage of these kids
Yeah.
and like basically, he's not like torturing them, but he is putting them through horrible situations to, you know, for his own gain,
Yeah.
you know? But at the end, like what he's trying to do is noble, but whenever you look at like how he's doing it, it's like there's definitely a better way to go about this. You know, you don't need to raise these kids up in a laboratory and like, you know, like beat them and like, you know, all this stuff. It's like horrible stuff. But I'm like looking.
So we got to look at it. Okay, so who is more of a villain? Is it Papa? Is it I forget Linda Hamilton's character name?
If we're talking about the humans specifically,
or no, even if you compare them to Vecna and Henry, and the Mind Flayer, you know, if you look at those things, you know, next to each other, which one's worse? Because Vecna, Henry, was a product of evil things.
Yeah.
Right? So what is the root origin of that evil? We still don't know the origin of the rock he picked up that, you know, did whatever it did to him. That's an origin story waiting to happen.
Yeah, for real.
But what Papa did, why did he do it? You know, experimenting with pregnant women, that kind of thing. And then what Lionel Hamilton did, which is like basically creating a breeding program, and doing and putting a little girl, attaching a little girl to a machine, so that they can control her powers.
Yeah.
Those things are like an extra level of like ethical.
I'm glad
dilemma.
we're talking about this because I have an explanation for why I think Vecna is still the most heinous and evil out of all of these villains.
Okay, go for it.
There's a specific detail that I think highlights why this makes sense. You have all of these, you know, the government who has their own intentions, and Papa with his own, he's like a mad scientist who got obsessed with his experiments. Whatever. Even the mayor from season 3, he's just a greedy bastard.
Oh, he just, yeah.
You know? So it's like, these people just kind of suck and have their own evil thing going on. But Henry Creel, right? I'm sorry, I'm going to have to get into season 5 a little bit here because it's important for this explanation. But when he's in that little, whatever, cave or whatever, and he's with the guy, right? The guy shoots him in the hand. And I think what differentiates Henry Creel, Vecna, from either being evil or good, what makes him evil is the fact that he decides to kill the guy. I think someone who is born good-natured would have ran away. I think it's kind of that flight or fight response. But in this case, flight would have been like, okay, I need to escape. You know, I'm a child. I don't have I don't know what you call it. Like, I don't have the strength to kill somebody, you know, like the capability of killing somebody. And so I would just run. If I was a kid and this guy shoots me in the hand, I'd run away. I'm not going to kill him, you know, but the fact that he took a rock and repeatedly hit him over the head with it, you know, although it was kind of self-defense, it raises the question of, like, why would he do that as a child? You know, I think he was born evil, you know, and this just kind of accelerated him along that path. Because as a kid, in season 4, when you get his backstory, he's like explaining about how he, like, you know, starts building his power and he's like using it in the backyard and stuff like that. And he just straight up kills his family, you know, no provocation. He like tortures his family and kills them with no real reason. Like, he just kind of
but you could claim though that the mind flayer is
corrupting him.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying that original thing, the origin of it all, tells you whether or not Henry Creel is actually evil.
That's interesting. Yeah.
So, and I think personally that the mind flayer just kind of accelerated the process of him becoming this evil entity. You know, I think in real life,
it just amplifies.
It just amplified it. You know, it just gave him the power to, you know, pursue his evil intentions. And also when Will tells him, like,
you don't have to do this.
You don't have to do this. He's like, no, he's crying because the mind flayer corrupted him, which is, like, you know, fair. But I don't think that's a sign that he's good. I think that's a sign that he's just been hurt so, like, bad by the mind flayer and by Eleven when she, like, tosses him into the world. He's been tortured, but that doesn't make him good. You know, I think he's always been evil, and there was no changing that.
Yeah, I think that's a fair argument.
And so I think that's why he's the best villain. It's so interesting how his story progresses, you know?
And there's still more to that story.
And there is more to that story.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that he does. Like, he kidnaps these kids, no questions asked, and like puts them through this stuff, you know? But I'm getting into season 5 stuff, so let me stop. But a lot of stuff a lot of layers to him.
I think from a villain perspective, I think you're probably right. I was trying to avoid that just because it seems cliche to say, well, Vecna was the worst one.
Yeah.
Because there were so many villains in Stranger Things. You know, I forgot about the mayor. It has a perfect, you know, you talked about the mayor. What about the Terminator guy, the Russian guy?
He was a cool villain, underrated.
Yeah.
I think that's the issue, is that Vecna kind of overshadows a lot of these cool villains.
He does. But I wanted to kind of explore, like, what the humans were doing, like the military and the doctors, was kind of an extra evil
It is.
type thing they were doing, because
Absolutely.
they're exploiting like children and,
Yeah.
and pregnant women
Yeah.
and programmatically using them to feed this belief that they could control the world or the universe or
It's
whatever.
evil.
It's just like an extra layer of like, ugh. But anyway, but yes, you're probably right, because their intention would be to protect the United States or Russia or whatever their motivation would be, whereas Vecna would be to destroy the entire world.
Yeah, he wants to conquer.
So
or,
that-
destroy. He
Yeah.
just wants to destroy.
That has to take precedent.
Yeah. So
All right, so we're going to talk about the season 1 through 4, the entire seasons taken together. What were the best components that make Stranger Things 1 through 4? Was it the cinematography? Was it the aesthetic, the set design, and so forth, or was it the writing, the performances, the character development? What would you say is like?
I think the best part, the strongest part of Stranger Things is the former. I think the aesthetic and how the show looks, and kind of a lot of the surface level stuff, definitely takes precedent over the writing and the character development and stuff. Because without it, it wouldn't be as unique as it was. Like, it would have been I don't know. I think that's what captivates me more about the show, is being able to see all these cool monsters, and the characters have to battle those monsters, and being able to immerse myself in this world that's so different from anything else. I think that's what makes Stranger Things strong, is the aesthetic.
So what's the weakest part of it?
I think the weakest, ooh, man, that's hard. But I mean, I probably have to say oh my God, it's so hard. It's so hard to say.
Performances?
Probably the performances, yeah. But I mean, there are some good performances. So I think each component has its strength in a specific season and then lacks in another season. Like the character development is great in season 3, and some character development was good in season 5. But then it's pretty weak in season 2. You don't really care that much about their arcs at all. You just care about what's going on with the Mind Flayer, Will, stuff like that. So, and then the writing, I think the writing in season 4 is amazing, and then the writing in season 5 is a lot weaker, I think, in my opinion. And so it's hard to pick a weak component, but I'd probably have to say the writing. I think the writing could have been better in terms of trying to pace the show in a better way. Especially season 5. I think season 5, the writing definitely lacks. I think it could have been way better developed. I think if they did the same kind of writing they did for season 4, it'd be a lot smoother of a transition, and it would have been a more satisfying conclusion to the show. But I also blame that on the writer's strike and stuff like that,
Well, yeah, that's true.
So, it's the writer's strike, so I'm sure that was definitely impacted by that. So, it's hard to say, but I guess I'll say the writing, because I do like some of the performances, that's part of the immersion. The performances were good enough for me to immerse myself in the aesthetics and all that stuff. So,
yeah, I think, I don't know, I think I would flip it. I think that writing is their strongest component. Although you could also say it's both their strongest and their weakest, because some of the seasons are better than others, and there are some plot holes and stuff like that. But the one thing that I will give them props for is that it's original.
yes.
It's original. It's well written for the most part, and it gives you some really original characters, original villains, original plots, and
It is very original stuff.
It's good stuff, So yes, it could be better in terms of how it was written and how it was executed. But I go back to the reason we like Stranger Things is because of that unique plot, and you don't get that without the writing, for better or worse. The performances, I would say, is the weakest part of it.
Yeah, that's fair.
There's some strong performances, but there's no performances, even their strongest performances, that are going to make you go, wow, that guy's going to win an Oscar one day.
Yeah.
It just isn't there. And there are some pretty weak, especially in the early seasons with some of the kids, which, being fair, they're kids, right? So no big deal. But, and when I say weak, I don't mean that is like, it sucked, it was terrible. But if I have to choose something that was the weakest component of making Stranger Things, I think the performances are the things that were the least consistent across all the characters. You had some good ones, you had some decent ones, you had some ones, and I think they all improved and matured over the seasons.
Yeah,
but
for the most part.
But there wasn't a consistency that you really would have preferred to see. So that's where I would see that. But I agree with you that the aesthetic
is the best.
Or
like
design.
one of the best.
I think that's right there with the writing.
Yeah.
Like, I think those two coming together is what makes Stranger Things Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we like it so much. You get the feel of the movie, and you get this original story that you just can't help but want to turn the page and hear what happens next, kind of thing. So that's what I would do.
Okay, yeah. I think I see where you're coming from with that. I think I just look at the writing in a different way, I guess. I kind of look at it in terms of pacing, No,
I see what you're saying.
So,
yeah, I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I'll give them. I think the fact that it's original and so interesting that overcomes all of those weaker points in the writing. So
I could see that. Okay.
All right, so rank them seasons 1 through 4.
Okay, so it's hard. I gotta be honest, but I think I have a solid ranking in my head. Probably put it 2 at the bottom, right? Just because of that disjointment, and it's like the pacing is off. Then I'd put 3, then 4, then 1.
Okay.
Probably what I'd do.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I'm almost the same with you. I'm 2 at the bottom, but then 4, and then 3, and then 1. Simply because I think I just really enjoy 3 so much.
3 is great. It gets a lot of hate, and I don't.
I like it. I just enjoy watching that season. I think it's fun.
Yeah.
It doesn't take itself too seriously, and
I just can't get over those last episodes in season 4 where like Vecna reveals everything, about him being one and his past.
Yeah.
And then Eddie on top of the RV with them all like, and they're separate things trying to beat Vecna. Like I just can't get over it. I think that is like the highest point of the whole show, and I think that has to bring it up a notch.
No, it's a totally fair argument.
Over season 3.
Yeah, I just like season 3.
No, it's valid.
The feel of it, but 4 is great. I mean, all of them are great. So we're talking about thin margins here in terms of how you rank them,
but season 1 is just the best overall.
Well, it has to be, right? It's like, what's your favorite day in your life? The day I was born. I mean, you can't not.
It's like valid.
Of course,
Of course, you're gonna say that.
So all right. So now we're gonna run into season 5.
Yes. So thank you guys for watching this episode. We're gonna end this part of the Stranger Things 2-parter here. This is going to be the end of the first part. And then we're going to continue in the second part with the entirety of season 5. So thank you guys for watching this episode. Follow us on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, all those things, Instagram. And we'll see you guys in that second part. Peace.